Good day, everyone. It is Ben and Boz coming at you with lesson 4 in our Microsoft Excel video tutorial series. I'm Boz.
I'm Ben.
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just ready to get after it.
It's a beautiful day in Collegeville.
It is. It's gorgeous out here. So, hey, in this lesson 4, the main goals that we're going to be getting after is we're going to teach you about some additional copy and paste features and then get into some data validation techniques.
A little bit more specifically, we're going to learn how to navigate between sheets in an Excel file. We're going to learn the very basics of data validation. And then we're going to finish up by using two of Boz's favorite shortcuts, Control-D and Control-R, to help us copy formulas instead of having to re-enter them all the time.
I've been using Excel for 15 years, and I got taught those by a couple people in India. I'd never heard of them before. That was awesome. August of 2014, memorable day and month in my life.
Always learning.
That's right. Go ahead, man.
All right, so big picture here. This is a trial balance, or sample trial balance, and in this video we're going to go through making a few adjusting entries in our template adjusting entries sheet, and then we're going to pull in those adjusting entries into this trial balance and finish up by adding them together to come up with our adjusted trial balance.
So could you just click on that adjusting entry sheet to get over there then, Ben?
You know, that is a way we could do it, and honestly, a lot of times if I'm working with a small sheet, I will just click on the sheets. I don't navigate a ton, but sometimes you'll find you do have a bunch of sheets in front of you and you want to switch back and forth quickly. So one way that you can do that is using the control page down key or the control page up key. So right now, if I just hold the control key and then press page down, you can see it shifts right over for me. And if I want to go back, I can just hit control page up.
Yeah, in the business world, I've worked on an Excel file before with over 100 sheets within the same file, and it can be very, very valuable. But
now, if you tried it at home and it didn't quite work for you, try hitting that function button, the FN button we talked about in previous videos. If mine is pushed, then that control page up and page down doesn't work. So you just want to make sure you're on the right tab with that.
Great job troubleshooting for them.
Thank you. Might as well hit it now, right?
That's about it. So you're going over to that. So go ahead and hit your control. What is that, page up or page down?
That was page down to
page
move
down
to the next one, and page up to move to the previous one.
Sure. So if we look at kind of our adjusting entries template here, we're probably going to want to do one for like depreciation expense would probably make sense.
Yeah, I think that's one of your favorites, isn't it?
Yeah, I love depreciation. That's right. So we could type it in, but I think we're going to find something even a little bit more slick. So as compared to typing that, because you might misspell it.
I can't spell depreciation personally.
You can't. So we don't have to, because
that's great.
We can use data validation instead.
All right. So do you want to walk me through how to do data validation, Boz?
Sure, I love it. So go ahead and click in this one. Click right on the B, kind of like right on it, and drag it over to the C. And now go to Data. You're on Data. All right, so you're on Data.
So if you're on the Home tab, which is the default, you can see there's some other tabs up on the top of our screen. Just click on the Data one. This is similar for a Mac too.
Great. And then Data Validation.
It's over here under Data Tools.
Yep. And then Data Validation, just the next link right there. And there's a ton of things that you can do within that. We'll do a variety of them throughout the series. But what we want to do right now is where it says allow, instead of any value, let's go to a list. So move that drop-down box and go to a list.
Okay.
And then where it says the source, click in that source box. Got to be very specific with what we're doing here. And now go back to the template trial balance. So go ahead and click on it. And now go click on cash and drag down until you get to tax expense and release it.
So what is this actually going to do for me then?
It is going to allow us, it's going to create a drop-down box within our adjusting entries tab that'll allow us to either type in or select from the drop-down box one of these accounts, but nothing else. So it'll make it actually more efficient that we can just quickly select an account, and it'll prevent errors as well.
All right, so after we've selected everything, I'm just going to hit OK. Yep. And now you can see this first one, Boz wanted to do a depreciation entry.
I do.
So if I debit depreciation expense, I can just look right over here and see, hey, there's depreciation expense right at the bottom.
Yep.
I just clicked on that drop down, and there it is for me. I don't have to worry about typing it or anything.
Sure.
And I can do the same thing if I want to do accumulated depreciation. Let's say I just made a typo like that and hit enter.
Yeah.
it stops me from doing that. So it really prevents errors from happening, which is pretty nice.
Totally.
So I can just look at accumulated depreciation, and we'll remember how to size our cells from a different video, but you can just double click on the borders here. And what do you think the amount of depreciation should be?
Let's just roll with $1,000. Depends on the fact, so I don't know for sure, but $1,000 is a nice round number.
Works for now, right? Let's go with 1,000.
All right.
You'll notice in E4 here, I just use the equal sign to reference back to that 1,000. So in case I change the amount later, both depreciation expense and accumulated depreciation will balance out.
Sounds good. So let's just do one more.
Yeah.
There's probably a number of adjusting entries, but just one more. Let's say that we used up some of our prepaid insurance, like $500 worth. So a debit to the insurance expense and a credit to
And
the
before
prepaid.
we go there, I'm just going to put a reference in these adjusting. Number 1 will be depreciation because it's number 1 in Boz's heart. And number 2 will be our insurance expense. So in this case, I'm going to type it because it's not as hard to spell.
Yep.
And you see when I type it correctly, I don't have any issues. So
Yeah, and especially, like if you were doing cash here, you probably would just type it in. It's quicker to type something short like that, but for something longer. So yeah, if you can type it in as long as it's right.
But our drop-down boxes also work for the other side, prepaid insurance.
Totally.
How do you feel about $500?
I think that's a great amount of prepaid insurance that we would have used up.
There we go, $500.
Yeah, totally.
All right, I'm happy with those adjustments, aren't you?
I think that's enough. That's plenty for our purposes here.
Absolutely.
So pulling back to the trial balance now.
Yeah, I'm going to navigate back using control page up to get back towards that one.
Nice.
And then in this adjustments column.
Don't hard key them.
Why not?
Because you might make an error.
But all I really have to do, accumulate depreciation, 1,000.
Yeah, but now if you update it on that adjusting entries tab, it won't update here automatically.
Oh, so let's just link it all together maybe.
Link it all together.
Cool.
You set me up nice for that. Thanks, man.
You're welcome. I'm going to hit the equal sign, and then using control page down to go back, I can use the arrow keys. You can see the box with the little small border around it. Highlight that 1,000 next to accumulated depreciation, then hit enter, and look at that.
It's awesome.
There it is.
It's awesome.
I'm going to do the same thing with depreciation expense. Again, using the arrow keys to go down. Hit the equals button to start my formula. Control page down, and go on over depreciation expense for 1,000.
Yeah,
all using the arrow keys. Don't have to click on anything. And all balances.
Yeah. Go back there really quick. I mean, let's pretend like we were wrong on that one or we changed an estimate. So change depreciation expense just to $500. Now because you've linked, you just do it once. It flowed into that other cell, and now you go back to your trial balance and it's updates. So to answer your earlier question, that's why you don't hard key it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like 500 better than 1,000. Let's just leave it.
I guess if you want, keep it there. So.
All right. Now just a chance for you to practice with prepaid insurance. Same format. Go up to prepaid insurance. Hit the equals button.
You're going to want to credit it.
Control page down.
There you go. Credit.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate that. Control page down. You can see prepaid insurance is indeed a credit.
That's right.
So we're going to put it in the credit column for 500. And then we're going to have insurance expense down here.
This is a debit.
It's a debit?
Yeah.
Which one's on the left and which one's on the right?
That's a good question, man. So, all right.
All right. Well, there we go.
Sweet.
So, we're pretty good. I think we just should finish up with our adjusted balance here and then call it a video.
I think it's time to sum it up. So we've already taught them that alt equals, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one, first we just want to make sure our debits and credits do actually balance. So if we hit alt equals and then start down at the 3,000, I just use the arrow keys to navigate down there. And then remember from our previous video, control and shift is going to highlight the whole series for me. And too far, so we go back down a little bit, holding just the shift key and over, and look at that. Now we have everything.
That's
all
awesome.
at one.
That's awesome.
And when in doubt, just hang on to the shift key and use the arrow keys. It'll help you highlight what you need.
Totally.
Now, I don't want to go through that whole process again.
And in the old days, I would have done like a Control C and a Control V to get it over, which totally works, right? And that's actually fairly efficient. You did. It's quick.
Yeah.
But I learned this one in India back in August of 2014. So go on top of C19 for me and hold down the shift and then right arrow key 5 times.
4 and 5.
Good job. And now hit Control R. Oh, it pastes everything to the right.
Look at that.
I'm going to give you a clue that you're going to do the same thing with a Control D, but I'm going to see if you can figure that one out in columns G and H.
Okay. Well, let's first figure out how we calculate an answer in column G.
That's true.
So for column G, we'll have the original debit balance. Then we'll add in any sort of new debit we would have for an adjustment and subtract a credit. Now, obviously, I can see the answer is just going to be 10,000 here, but I want to set this formula right away so that way I don't have to worry about it for any of the other accounts with normal debit balances.
Totally.
So in this case, I hit enter, and my default was going to be hit Control C and Control V, but that's not really what we want to do, is it?
We have a bonus one. We're teaching them today.
All right.
Excited.
So if we highlight the 10,000 and scroll on down, I'm going to hit Control D to copy it down, and look at that. It all works out for us.
Sweet. Sweet.
Now let's do the same thing for our credit balance accounts. Equals, start with the credit balance, add in any sort of additional credit, subtract a debit, and again just using add, subtract, and the arrow keys to get here. Hit enter to set up my first formula, and now I just have to highlight this first one, shift and arrow down, and then hit Control D, and it should all copy down for me.
Nice. And, you know, these final debits as compared to starting over, go on top of G7 for me. All right, hit Control C. And then go down to G15. And I don't think you could highlight G15 through 18 and do a Control D all at once. I don't think that'll work. So now do a Control V to kind of get it started. And now while you're on top of that one, hit Shift, arrow key down 3 times, hit your Control D. So you just kind of are combining some of the tools that we used.
All right.
Sweet.
I think that's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, go to the introduction. Did we teach them everything we thought we were going to?
I was about to click on it.
You
but I'm
were.
gonna do
I saw it.
Control page up instead. So we did go through shifting between sheets, page up and page down. We did a little data validation.
We did.
I think we just covered your 2 favorites, Control D and Control R.
We did. I think it was awesome. Hopefully they learned something.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Take care. Cheers.
Until next time.